Consulting is a very sought after job roles not just for MBA students but also for professionals around the world outside of MBA. Almost everyone wants to work in a consulting firm at least once in their life as a consultant. Why is it so? Is it just because of the salary or the prestige which is associated with the company or the job, or it's more to do about what does a consultant do each day and the kind of experience and exposure which you as a consultant could get once you work in these companies? My dear friend, my objective in this video is to take you through that what exactly is consulting so that you truly understand what consulting is. You would have converted some of your recent calls or you're expecting calls. You're planning to get into MBA or you're already outside, does not matter. If you're planning to understand what consulting is, it is important for you to start off by understanding what does a consulting firm do broadly, to understand that at least, and what would you do as a consulting, which is what I'll be talking you through. If you don't know me yet, I'm Darpan Saxena, an MBA graduate from Udaipur. I've been working as a strategy consultant. I'm the founder of Creatum, where I help MBA students create fulfilling careers without depending on placements. Now, without further ado, let me take you through what is consulting all about, and this is extremely important for you to know. See, a consulting firm, you need to understand what is a consulting firm. The company which employs you, what do they do? A consulting firm helps other companies in solving their business problem, and these companies which they help with, they could be of different industries, different domains. Now, these problems could also be of different kinds. These problems could be from business strategy, marketing, IT technology, finance, operations, and yes, you can totally understand these are very diverse and different kind of business problems. In fact, within these, we can go to much smaller problems. A company, an organization might hire a McKinsey, Bain, or BCG to solve one specific problem within business strategy. For example, it could be a profitability issue that, hey, our profitability has decreased, even though the revenue has flatlined or is increasing, but the profitability has decreased. Or it could be a costs problem that, hey, our costs have increased, or the revenue. It could, third, it could be a revenue problem that a revenue has declined. How do you analyze it? That is what your job is, and how do you arrive at hypothesis and then solve that problem for them? Then it could also be in the field of IT and technology, that how should we bring about a digital transformation, upgrade our systems to newer technologies without disrupting the daily workflow, the daily process. Therefore, they require a consultant to help them understand the process. That could be that. Or you could be an operations consultant, wherein you are advising the company on the business supply chains and their supply chains with their partners and vendors and all of those things, so that you can optimize those. My dear friends, as you can see, the problems could be of different kinds which you are solving, and therefore this is a very attractive field. Which means what? Which means that you could be somebody who's enthusiastic about marketing, and you could be working as a marketing consultant helping brands in their GTM, go to market strategy. That is also consulting. Some consulting companies specialize just in that, and we'll be talking about that. So all of these things are there. This is very domain agnostic. This job role is very domain agnostic, because whatever your domain is, there is a consulting job for that. So surely the top tier consulting jobs are strategy consulting jobs, which primarily talk about business strategy, but that is that. Now, I want to talk to you about the importance of consulting, the importance for you primarily, because this video is for you. You are the ones who are watching this. Therefore, I want to talk about this importance from your standpoint. So you have to understand these 3-4 things very simply and in a straightforward manner. The first thing is that, see, top businesses want their problems solved. Now, why is it that they can't have it solved internally? Because solving through internal talent may not be feasible at all. Why? You would ask why. Bhai dekho, pehli cheez hai ki you know this, and I'll start with the second point. Hiring experts and solving it internally is way more expensive than hiring some experts on rent. आप एक expert को full time नौकरी दें, उसको hire करें, पहले hiring process में जाएं, and you do all of those things and then you hire him. उससे बेहतर है आप एक short term project के लिए उसी expert को एक consulting firm के through hire करें. That's that. Secondly, the people inside the company who are already inside the company, they may not have enough bandwidth. A lot of companies are very heavily understaffed, and that is why it may not give the right output when a company gives this task to somebody who's internal. Also, consulting firms have access to deep resources which that standalone company may not have, because consultants or consulting teams have access to domain expertise around the world. So when a consulting firm takes up a project with a client, what they also do? They deploy you, who has been hired from a campus, to solve their problems. But if that problem requires some expertise, say in finance or marketing, then they also contract experts of that field for that short term, so that they can work with you, brainstorm with you, and can solve this problem. So you, my dear friend, as a future consultant, would not only be working with the client and the CXO level suit of the client, but also might be working some of the business experts with the business experts around the world, so that you can collaborate with them to solve these problems. That is why this becomes extremely attractive. That's that. And now the third point obviously is that, which I've said only, that this is a very high impact role right out of graduation. You get to apply almost all of your business and marketing and strategy concepts almost instantly, because consulting companies appreciate structured thought. ये जो तुम केस कॉम्पिटिशंस भी करते हो, इसमें भी मैं बता दूं एक बात, ये वीडियो जरूरी इसलिए भी है because you should have a structured thought which can only come when you are applying business frameworks and the concepts which you're learning in the classroom, and then you still have the creativity left to not just go by the book and be able to understand the business context of the client and solve it like that. This is the real thing which will help you succeed. So that is that. And then obviously you will definitely be interacting with CXOs, and that is the impact. That is the reason why this is a sought after job role in IIMs, Ahmedabad, Bangalore and Calcutta. If you go and look at the placement reports at these colleges, as much as 40% of the batch across all three campuses gets hired into consulting, top tier consulting firms, average salaries starting upwards of 25 lakhs. That is the beauty of this. So I hope you've got a feeling of what does a consulting firm do. Now I'll quickly take you through that. What do consultants actually do? See, consultants do these 8 things primarily. The day in and day out of a consultant can be explained like this. First thing is that when you as a consultant are onboarded on a problem, then you have to understand the client's problem. You have to go one level below it. Sometimes sometimes these business owners would be talking about the symptoms that, hey, our revenue has declined, but it's your job to dig deeper and say that, okay, revenue is equal to price of the product into volume. So has the price decreased or the volume decreased? क्या फुटफॉल कम हो गया है स्टोर में? एंड अगर फुटफॉल कम हो गया है तो फिर एक सेकंड, फुटफॉल कम हुआ है या फिर एवरेज परचेज पर यूजर कम हुआ है, वो भी नहीं पता है, वो भी है. सो यू हैव टू मेक दिस डिसीजन ट्रीज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक दैट, द केस ट्रीज as we call them. That's that. So that is something which is extremely important. Then my dear friends, you have to gather data and research, because probably some of this can be best revealed by data. अब भाई आपको कैसे पता कि उसके स्टोर्स पे फुटफॉल कम हुआ है या फिर एवरेज परचेज पर कंज्यूमर कस्टमर कम है या ज्यादा है? You have to gather the data. That is what it is. Then you have to diagnose the problem. This is this data, just the way I explained to you right now. Then my dear friends, you make a hypothesis first. You make a hypothesis that, okay, diagnosing the problem में actually वो है that I've made this hypothesis that this is a footfall problem, and not just a footfall problem, but the people who are coming in are also purchasing less as compared to what they used to. Then you start to make recommendations. You first present this internally within your team with the partner of your consulting company who's assigned, who has brought this client to the company. That's what. So partner is like the highest designation in the company along with the CEO and all of that. So once you as the internal team is on board that, okay, this is the solution which we will be presenting, you need to get that stakeholder approval. After that, you present this case analysis to the clients. You fly down to their locations and you present it, and then you answer their grueling questions. You have to answer everything so that they are convinced that, okay, whatever $1 million they've spent on you, it is totally worth it. And then if they've also hired you for implementation, then you also assist in implementation. You implement it, or at least you help in assisting in the implementation, even if they have to implement it internally. My dear friends, if you watch this video till now, I'm sure that you've been liking this video a lot. Please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, because I will be talking about consulting companies and consulting salaries in my next part of this video, so that you have complete understanding. मैं इसको बहुत ही गहरा डीप बनाना चाह रहा हूँ ताकि ये मजा आए, आपको फ्री में कंटेंट मिले आपको. Also, you need to learn these things before you get into your MBA program. I have a very detailed pre-MBA program, my dear friends, which is called How to Be School. How to Be School is a pre-MBA program which I made for you, which will help you turn your MBA experience into multiple job offers, because I talk about a lot of things in this. I talk about things like what are the things which you should do before joining a B school, what are the things which you should do in your academics, how to crack cases, what is the trimesters, electives, how to choose that, projects कैसे चलते हैं, extracurricular activities, self-management and time management, networking and friendships, even romantic relationships I have spoken about in this video, resume building, summer placements and final placements. Go and enroll for this, my dear friends, because this has been created for you so that you do well, so that you are not leaving things to chance. If you've converted a good B school or are in the running to clear the wait list of any B schools, these are the things which you need to prepare for. If you're not preparing this, then what are you doing? I have a course called MBA Specialization Selector, which is within this course. तो अगर ये लोगे उसमें वो भी है. So you have to get deep into these things. First year concepts I have taught inside this course. That is what it is. So do not forget to like the video also, and let's get back to what I was talking to you about. I'll now talk to you about the lifestyle and the hours, because this is also something which has been glamorized a lot, and this probably requires certain clarity, and some of that is true also, but here is what it is. Now I'll tell you a weekly routine of it. Most likely Monday to Thursday you would be traveling, you would be at the client's place trying to understand their problem, gathering data, doing stakeholder interviews to understand from their teams what is the challenge, what are the things, all of these things. Friday, Thursday night or Friday morning, you come back and you work from your office to formulate the problem, to further work and collaborate with your team, your team of analysts and associates who are there working on the problem. Obviously, the travel and the stay is luxury, partly because that is not on your company's expense, that is on the client's expense. And it's also a game of reputation. It's also that, okay, our consultants are top tier people and they stay at certain levels of hotels. वो ताज में ही रहते हैं, वो मैरियट में ही रहते हैं जी, उनसे कम पे नहीं रहते. So all of this consulting is also a game of prestige, building that prestige to these things. So that is why this is luxury travel through and through. Working hours are very stretched out. So typically you would be working anywhere from 50 to 75 hours a week, 75 in worst cases, not always. But आप 50 घंटे से कम तो किसी हफ्ते में मुझे काम करते दिख नहीं रहे हैं. Even my friends who are working in MBBs, the big fours, are not working less than 50 hours on most weeks. There, you will not be working on weekends. So no weekends, I mean to say that your weekends would be with you. ऐसा नहीं है कि weekends खप गए आपके इसमें, but your weekdays are very intense. So your weekends are going to be very relaxing कि यार अब कुछ नहीं करना, बैठना है. And you would always wish that, okay, some of the weekends like Saturdays I would want to be at home. But it can also happen that sometimes you have to fly out. You have to fly because you have to reach your client's office सोमवार को सुबह 8 o'clock. तो you would say that, okay, I would go there एक दिन पहले. तो वो weekend भी उसमें कभी कभी absorb हो जाता है, but that's a rarity. And even if it is, then you would enjoy that. That's that. Perks, my dear friends, is what I'd say is that you would be traveling, the flights, the hotels, the status which comes from that is the real perk in that. The real perk which of late I have realized in consulting is the prestige which that role carries. That's that. There's one perk which I have not mentioned, which is extremely important, is that it gives you a lot of exposure, my dear friends. It gives you immense exposure of industries which will always remain with you. You would know you would know of a lot of job roles which hire only ex-MBB consultants because they value the experience which they bring in. My dear friends, my objective in this part 1 of the video was to tell you about consulting क्या है. बहुत लोग बात करते नहीं है. If you'd want a part 2, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you're feeling about it. If you want to really make things happen in your B school, go for How to B School as a pre-MBA program, primarily because I've curated it after 8 or 9 years of experience in knowing what the students want to be able to do well in their MBA. You will not leave any stone unturned. I know that. Thanks a lot and goodbye.